We've all been mad one time or another. It's a very human response, often leading to bad decisions, like that fighter argument that had no real purpose. In truth, through cortical inhibition or frontal lobe shutdown, the high levels of adrenaline and cortisol often ensure your higher reasoning faculties are impaired, thus the pointless fights and arguments, but it does have a time and place. Epinephrine or adrenaline turns off the brain's muscle limiter, allowing more of your muscular capacity. You stop feeling pain and time starts to dilate. Thus, you either enter a Ussain Bolt out of there like you've never ran that fast in your life before, or you become a primal beast yearning to unleash a bottomless casm of wrath. We went over the calm mind of Fedor Emelianenko and Conor McGregor, but thank you for joining me on this special segment where I break down two unparalleled furious beasts. Badr Hari. Badr Hari is an incarnate of pure rage. He observes pretty focused, but when it goes in, you can see him get enveloped in rage. You can see the fury consume his mind. He just wants to hurt. He just wants to hit. Winning, losing, all of that is irrelevant in the moment. He just wants to destroy the person in front of him by any means possible, and as a result, we often see him swing for the fences, tilting off balance from the sheer ferocity of each strike. His wide style is chaotic. It evokes a paralyzing fear into the hearts of his opponent, and each time he connects, the damage is expected. He definitely is a high cortisol fighter, high adrenaline fighter, even admittedly blinded by the fury he experiences, aka frontal lobe shutdown. Further evidence reinforcing his frontal lobe shutdown is his controversial history of bad sportsmanship. He isn't thinking of it rationally as a sport at all, but instead leaves his senses to his primal instincts, only wishing to smash and smash until only a carcass is left. This man is clearly addicted to adrenaline, and fighting is how he floods himself with that primal rush, drunk, intoxicated on fury. This man was a K1 heavyweight champion. Look at how messy his style is. He's like a blender. There is actually a defensive genius to this style. As he ferociously swings, he often tilts off his central line from the sheer momentum, making his face harder to punch. And his torso also functions as a shield, swatting his opponent's strikes through that same ferocity. He may be a furious maniac, but I think he knows what he's doing. Look at how that huge range of motion also worked as a slip counter, avoiding his opponent's punch. He activates blender mode. His opponent stiffs up from fear, trying to generate power, but he can't from his position. Again, on top of Badr's chaotic range of motion, actively swatting punches away from his opponent. This is an example of how he starts off focused before entering his blender fury mode. He jumps in with a feint kick to catch his opponent off guard, and the moment he sees a reaction, he enters blender mode. This clip clearly shows his huge range of pivot, working not only to generate devastating force, but also work to move his central line into a slip counter. I'm sure now you can see the method to the madness. Again, devastating power from that huge range of motion, but the slip causes his opponent's glove to hit shoulder and slide off into the air. This clip perfectly depicts how Badr's mind works. Knocks his opponent back while opponent throws leg kick, and Badr moves back as well. And yeah, he goes into his fury blender mode. He has this way of bringing his opponent into that same high cortisol mindset, but instead of activating the fight response the same way Badr does, they get stifled, frontal lobe shut down, and the flight response takes over instead, being overwhelmed until they get hit too hard and too clean to stand. It's an interesting style that relies quite a bit on one's inherent genetics and athleticism. There is one weakness to the style though. Badr is clearly off balance each devastating strike. Thus, even if he were to learn grappling, he'd probably be easy work for a wrestling and jiu-jitsu background of the same weight class, especially considering such disciplines are far more cerebral than primal. He wouldn't be able to put his ass into his punches the same way if he's on the ground, and frontal lobe shutdown would inhibit his ability to articulate himself to the same degree grappling demands. It's kickboxing though, so it's not really a concern. Let's now break down Ramon, the Diamond Dekker. 186 wins out of 223 fights and an 8-time Muay Thai world champion. Ramon Dekker is known as the Turbine from Hell, and for good reason. His style is head-to-head, unloading blow after blow with little concern for his own well-being. That is why he's called a Turbine from Hell. He just keeps hitting you and hitting you, almost as if he doesn't feel any pain. Despite that, the damage was obvious. Having his right leg become almost impossible to kick with, he'd do it anyways. Multiple surgeries, even having his foot fused to his shin. But yeah, the man just did not care. He loved the crowd and he loved to fight, and whether he won or lost, whether he was broken beyond repair, he did not care. He would simply keep hitting you and hitting you with every ounce of his heart, no matter how many pieces broke along the way. Fury and bottomless killer intent is what we first see when we watch this man fight, but something is off. His technique may be savage, may be ruthless, but it's clean. He evades strikes clean. His technical prowess is there. It's almost as if, despite the bottomless chasm of killer intent, he's lucid. I find this man in that sense very fascinating. He has the ferocity of Batter, but he's a lot like Fedor in gaze. Despite being lost in a flurry of savage strikes, he's actually quite calm and articulate. There's something terrifying about that entire thought. The man, with zero concern for his own body, zero pain, smashing forward with lucid killer intent. The man was a legitimate monster. Just observe this man's gaze. It's complete ice, unwavering. He doesn't even blink. His intent is transparent, easy for anyone to see. He calmly displays a pure, unadulterated desire to destroy. Here his opponent throws an overhand at his chin, but due to his stance, Ramon can counter with a left hook, simultaneously swatting his opponent's overhand with his torso, whilst powerfully following through with his own punch. I think you can see why they call him the Turbine from Hell. When he engages, similarly to Batter, he just keeps smashing you and smashing you, looking to KO. But there is one difference. Look at the hesitation on Ramon's last strike. He isn't lost in fury. He adjusts his final shot because there was a moment when his opponent obstructed it with his arm raised. Ramon is ruthless, but his technique is clean and he's always observing with an ice-cold gaze. The Turbine from Hell. His opponent is overwhelmed by the power and volume of the strikes, curled against the ropes, hopes to weather the storm, but his stomach and liver are open and Ramon's power is too much. Bam. And down he goes. Clinch knee. Observes his opponents as they fall away from each other, then watch how he lightly feints his left, having his wounded opponent react to it, almost landing a perfect overhand as a result, but it deals tremendous damage regardless. He just flowed into that. His opponent is panicking, he wants no more, and attempts to push Ramon away, but ironically it just opens up his guard, and in that moment of desperation, he takes a devastating right. This clip is slowed. Now I'm going to speed it up. Just look at how fast that arm slings from his side. Holy. Conclusion. Batter vs. Ramon's stylistic breakdown. Both of these fighters have a very similar style at first glance, almost as if a switch is flipped and they enter Turbine Blender Destruction mode. But there is one key difference. You can tell fury envelops Batter and he blindly starts swinging with every fiber of his furious being. Ramon, on the other hand, is actually quite calm. He's something few are born with and others have to discipline through decades of pain. To give insight into the kind of unreachable person Ramon is, he tore the ligament in his shoulder, blood dripping black all the way down his arm, yet with one arm, he still won that fight. He knew he would, and he said he would. That's the kind of psycho this man is, and if you combine that with the fact that he fused his foot to his shin and still continued to kick with it regardless of the pain, that's all you really need to know. But of course, a man like that can only live for so long. He died at age 43. Thank you everyone for your recommendations. It helps me a lot when I get a clear consensus of what you guys would like from me, as this channel truly does exist for you guys. I'm always listening. Please don't forget to smash that like button if you enjoyed, it's good karma. Thank you again guys, and until next time, peace.